Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Alejandra Ceja. I'm the Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you today to our Bright Spots in Hispanic Education Google Hangout, aimed at highlighting the great work that organizations are doing across the nation to reduce the achievement gap for Hispanics. As you may recall, as part of our 25th anniversary year of action that took place last year, our initiative made a national call for bright spots in Hispanic education. We announced over 230 organizations, programs, and initiatives that are working to increase the educational achievement for Hispanics. To elevate the work of these bright spots and learn from their experience, our initiative is hosting a series of interactive discussions and educational topics of interest via our Google Hangout platform. Today's session will provide an opportunity to hear from some of our bright spots who are doing great work in support of students who are deferred action for childhood arrivals, more commonly known as DACA. I'm joined by my colleague Maria Pastrana Luján, who's a senior advisor here at our initiative on detail from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, the agency charged with much of the implementation of DACA. We're very fortunate to have her here with us today as our subject matter expert. Most importantly, we're joined by 7 bright spots throughout the country who lead efforts that directly support our DACA students. They are the Dream Project from Arlington, Virginia, Edu Futuro in Arlington, Virginia, Hispanic League in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Latino Community Credit Union in Durham, North Carolina, Springfield City School District Hispanic Outreach Program in Springfield, Ohio, the Tomorrow Fund for Hispanic Students in Durham, North Carolina, and the University of California, Davis Undocumented Student Legal Services Center in Davis, California. Thank you all for joining us. We also want to welcome all of you who are viewing this event over our live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Before we begin, I'd like to give Maria a moment to provide an update on DACA and agency efforts. Maria?
Great, thanks. It's great to be here, and as part of the great team here at the initiative and also at USCIS, it's great to see all of the wonderful organizations doing such good work. So as you know, DACA was first announced exactly 4 years ago today, on June 15th of 2012, by then Secretary of Homeland Security. And under the process, if you came to the United States as a child and you met several guidelines, you can request consideration of deferred action. So deferred action refers to a decision to defer or to delay or to put off removal action of an individual. So DACA may be granted by USCIS for a period of 2 years, and it is renewable. So deferred action does not provide an individual with lawful status. However, recipients of deferred action may obtain work authorizations. So for those of you who are watching who may not be as familiar with DACA, I'll go through the guidelines. So basically, you had to be under the age of 31 as of June 15th of 2012. You had to have come to the U.S. before reaching your 16th birthday. You had to have lived continuously resided in the U.S. since June 15th of 2007 up to the present time, and were physically present in the U.S. on June 15th of 2012 when it was announced, and at the time of your request. You had to have no lawful status on June 15th of 2012. You have to be currently in school, have graduated or obtained a certificate of completion from high school, or obtained a GED certificate, or be honorably discharged veteran of the Coast Guard or Armed Force of the United States. And you can't have been convicted of a felony, significant misdemeanor, or 3 or more misdemeanors. And basically, you do not otherwise pose a threat to national security or public safety. So DACA provides an opportunity for childhood arrivals to empower themselves and connect with society through education and through work. So since USCIS began accepting DACA requests, more than 728,000 initial and more than 511,000 renewal requests have been approved. But the real measure of DACA has been the life-changing impact it has had. 70% of DACA recipients report having their first job, and 50% are earning more as a result of having DACA and are therefore better able to support their families. And the list can go on, but all of these successes are really in no small part due to the great collaboration between USCIS and our federal, state, and local partners, especially the Department of Education and organizations like the Bright Spots we're highlighting today, who are doing the great work to support DACA students.
Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you all for joining us. What an important and historic time for us to be here gathering on the anniversary of DACA. I want to remind folks that you can participate in the discussion by submitting your questions for our Hangout presenters via Twitter using our handle @HispanicEd and using the hashtag HigherEd or DACA on Facebook, or by emailing us at whieeh@ed.gov. Now let's get started by learning about the Bright Spot organizations that are joining us today. Thank you again for your time. Would love to kind of have each of you give us a brief introductory summary of the good work that you're championing in your community. So why don't we get started with the Tomorrow Fund to kick us off.
Hi, thank you for having us. The Tomorrow Fund for Hispanic Students is a North Carolina scholarship fund providing funding to Latino students from financially challenged backgrounds. Most of our recipients are undocumented DACA students. The students must have graduated from a North Carolina high school and be attending a post-secondary educational institution here in North Carolina. Those same institutions must also provide some level of funding for the students in order for them to be able to be eligible. Our funding bridges the financial aid gap of the students after all of other aid has been applied. And over the past 6 years, we have awarded almost $700,000 in funding across North Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you. On to the DREAM Project.
Hi, good afternoon. We are the DREAM Project, a not-for-profit organization based in Arlington, Virginia. Our important mission is to empower students whose immigration status creates barriers to education by working with them to access and succeed in college through scholarships, mentoring, family engagement, and advocacy.
In 2011, we awarded 4 scholarships, and this past Friday we awarded 76. We also celebrated 12 college graduates, most of whom were DACA recipients like myself.
Our unique mentoring program is designed to help our high school students secure their admission to college and secure the ability to afford college by helping them apply to scholarships. In our mentoring program, we have mentor-mentee relationships that work with them, mentors work with them through a whole year, and we make sure that we get to know the students very well. The students also go on college trips, and we work with them in not only getting to know the colleges, but we work with the application process to college. We work with resumes, and we help them write essays to apply both for college as well as for scholarships.
Thank you. What about Edu Futuro?
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Edu Futuro was founded in 1998 by parent volunteers. This is an organization that empowers under-resourced Latino youths and their parents through education, leadership development, and family engagement to become the next generation of professionals who transform their communities. Edu Futuro unique intergenerational engagement model reaches more than 700 children, youths, and adults annually and improves the education and long-term financial stability of parents and youth through Northern Virginia. Our MER programs are focused on the parents, which have the Parent Leadership Initiative, the Emerging Leader programs that is composed by the STEM Robotics Club for students from 6th to 8th grades, our Emerging Leaders Program Part 1 for students from 9 to 12, and our Emerging Leader Programs Part 2 that is a one-on-one mentoring program for a whole year. And the best news of that is that all of the students that have gone through our Emerging Leaders Program Part 2 have graduated and that have gone to post-secondary education. And here we have some of our emerging leaders today.
Great, thank you. On to the Latino Community Credit Union.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Latino Community Development Center was established by Latino Community Credit Union back in 2000 and is a nonprofit dedicated to providing basic financial education needs to their members. LCDC is also LCCU's field membership. We teach them to save, plan, and to have access to a better standard of living for them and their families. In 2012, LCCU created his Dreamer Loans to break down financial barriers for young Latinos hoping to apply for DACA. LCCU's successful program is a model for financial institutions interested in providing financial tools for Dreamers nationwide. We continue to lead the nation in Dreamer Loans with almost 2,000 loans financed today. When LCCU launched its Dreamer Loans, a $465 loan to cover the cost of applying for DACA, it provided members with access to credit, better employment opportunities, and critical access to higher education.
Thank you. Hispanic League.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Mary Jo Turner, Executive Director of the Hispanic League. The Hispanic League is a 501c3 that was established in 1992 to foster diversity and raise awareness of the Hispanic community. Our mission is to improve the lives of Hispanic Latinos through promoting community inclusion, education, health, and multicultural understanding. We started our scholarship program to assist students who are here without documentation to attend college. This year, we were honored to give 42 scholarships to deserving students, and since we began our program in 2000, we have now given 328 scholarships valued at $700,000. 29 of our 42 students who received scholarships this year were not U.S. citizens. And with us today, we have 5 of our scholarship recipients, 2 parents, and 1 of our board members.
Thank you. Our Springfield Hispanic Outreach Program.
Hi, thanks for having us today. In 2010, the Springfield City School District established our Hispanic Outreach Program in order to meet the significant and growing challenge of educating Hispanic students in our district. And we're an urban community of about 60,000 just outside Central Ohio. And in 2010, Hispanic students represented about 2% of our district students, but today it's nearly doubled. While our numbers are comparatively small, our Hispanic population overall has increased 143% in 5 years. So we currently serve 435 students, 15 of whom are DACA, and 27 are unaccompanied minors. But in all, over the last 4 years, we've served more than 30 DACA students. The Hispanic Outreach Program supports our district's commitment to meet the academic and social needs of all of our students. So we identify the unique needs of Hispanic student population, then we really encourage and engage our district staff, outside resources, and students' families to design and implement very personalized solutions to support their success. And so we do a lot of work together, and we help our Hispanic students and their families prepare and be very productive members of our community.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And on to the University of California at Davis.
Good morning, or I guess for you guys it's afternoon.
Yeah.
In California, we're still in the morning time. So thank you very much for inviting us to this conference. Our legal center is a unique center that was started by the president of the University of California in January 2015. I believe that we're the only one in the country, and what we do is we basically provide immigration services, the full range of legal services, to undocumented students at all the UC campuses and to the families of those undocumented students, and also to U.S. citizen kids whose parents are undocumented. We are staffed with lawyers. It's not a clinical legal education program. We're actually run like a law firm. And we do everything from helping students with their DACA renewal. We do family petitions. We help them with travel if they want to do education abroad. We do naturalization, and we'll even do deportation defense for them or their family members if that becomes necessary. One of the amazing things I think for the students is that our services are free of charge. And I think and we're going to be studying this more, but the reason this program was started was based on the notion that we know that students who are undocumented or whose parents are suffer a tremendous amount of stress while they're trying to do at the same time their college work. And so we're not only just trying to help them with immigration, we're also trying to help them with their academic success by alleviating one of the big sources of stress that they have while they're studying.
Thank you. You guys are all doing important work across the country, and I think that is a reason why our bright spots and the recognition to be able to put a national spotlight on the work that you're championing is very important. To bring attention to the services you're providing, our Hispanic students, our DACA students, our parents, our families, is critical. So thank you all so much for the great work that you're doing. Before we get into our discussion, I want to ask Maria a question. This is something that we frequently get asked here at the Department of Education, and it's in regards to financial assistance for DACA students. Maria, is there financial assistance for DACA students that exists?
So right now, no. Undocumented students, including DACA students, aren't eligible for federal student aid. However, they might be eligible for state and college financial aid. So we really encourage everyone to check with their local guidance counselor.
Great. So for the folks that are kind of watching this Google Hangout, what advice would you give a student? Should a DACA student fill out the FAFSA?
Well, since most of the states and colleges use the information collected on what's called the free application for federal student aid, or as you say, the FAFSA, to determine eligibility for aid, if you have a Social Security number, you can complete it, and we encourage folks to do so. However, you really should first check with your high school counselor or your college or career financial aid office to see what types of financial aid you may be eligible to receive, and what's the best way to access it. So it differs from state to state.
Thank you. I want to dig a little deeper into the work of our bright spots, and I want to start off with the Tamara Fund. Just based on the services your organization is offering, could you talk a little bit about the traditional scholarships you offer, and could you explain to folks watching what gap funding is and why you offer that versus traditional scholarships?
All right, so gap funding is the balance that remains after all other financial aid has been applied. And typically we refer to that amount as the gap. That's what the student will need in order to enroll for the first time or re-enroll for subsequent semesters. And so we had realized that this was a tremendous need, particularly with undocumented students. We decided to go ahead and focus all our efforts on that gap. And so our scholarships are anywhere from $1,000 to $15,000, and they're to cover that gap. We don't fund above $15,000. That's the maximum.
Great. Wow. Can you talk a little bit about what qualifications a student needs to qualify for your funding?
Yes, so they have to have a minimum of a 2.5 GPA. The average is probably more like a 3.2, 3.4. They have to have graduated from a North Carolina high school. They have to be attending an institution here in North Carolina for post-secondary. It could be a community college, a private college, or a public college. We also leverage the dollars from the universities. The schools have to provide some level of funding as well from institutional dollars. We do not have in-state tuition for undocumented students, unfortunately, in North Carolina.
Great, thank you.
But they have to be from under-resourced backgrounds as well, would be the other.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask the DREAM Project if you could talk a bit about your mentoring program, if you could let folks know what your mentoring program consists of.
Thank you very much for the question, Alejandra. And I have the pleasure to have Lourdes Rubio on my left, who is the mentoring coordinator, who can talk more about it.
Well, thank you. The mentoring program of the DREAM project is the heart of the project. Basically, we invite undocumented and documented students to participate in the program starting with the 11th grade. We start to raise the awareness of the students as well as the parents. But the real work starts in the 12th grade. We divide the year in more or less 3 sections. The first part of the year, we meet weekly. Students are assigned mentors, and we train the mentors to work with the students because a lot of the mentors don't know what the challenges our students are facing. And then in the first part of the year, we focus our efforts mostly in getting into college. And then the second part of the year, and there's a little bit of overlap in there, we start working on financial education and financial resources by way of scholarships. And we really work very hard, and we almost push the students to apply to every scholarship available because we never know what's going to happen. And most of the times they do get it. And the third part of the year, we have a partnership with a community college, Northern Virginia Community College. So the third part of the year, the students take a dual enrollment class while in the DREAM project. So by the time they graduate from our program, they also graduate with college credits, and thus saving themselves a little bit of money by not having to pay for those credits once they get into the college. We usually have a group of 30 students, even though this year we started with a lot of students. And we try to assign 2 students per mentor. So we have 30 students, we have 15 mentors. We do field trips to colleges and universities. We bring speakers to talk to the students. We bring former mentees who have already graduated from college or are in college to talk to our students about how they can make this dream come true. And we also bring the board members so the students can see their allies. They have to rely on allyship, and we work very hard on allyship. And another big part of the component is the parent group. We work with the parents very, very, very closely. We educate the parents about college opportunities and about the future for their students. And we have a very close community.
Great. It's so good to hear about the work that you're doing with parents. Would love to hear a little bit more about the partnerships that you've helped create in the community.
We work with the community. Well, for the mentoring program, our mentors come from the community. We have people, retirees, people who have gone through college, come to mentor our students, and we educate them. So by educating them, we spread the word of the need to support undocumented and DACA students through the mentors. And we also reach out, and I'm going to let Gaston talk about more about that. Our funding organizations are community organizations that are in the community. And the parents are also very active in the community because with their education and the training that we offer them, they eventually become leaders in the community. So that's it.
I want to point out that we have established great relationships. Virginia is a wonderful community. For instance, we have a partnership with the Arlington Public Schools. So our mentoring program takes place at the library of high school. And right now we are at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington, a great supporter. They let us use one of their conference rooms, and they have been able to learn the stories of the students. And they see that these students contribute to the community, and they will do more once they graduate. So we're very fortunate to have these partnerships, relationships, and it's all about getting to know each other. And we also offer our support and help if they need it.
Thank you. Edu Futuro, you also have a strong parent component. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you also do with parents in the Virginia community?
Yeah, we have a relationship with the Arlington Public Schools. Every year we go through 11 elementary schools, and there we have two programs, one that is called PESA and another one that is called Participa. And what these programs do is help the parents to understand how the educational system works in the United States. As you know, many are immigrant parents that don't really understand that. And this year, we are now, we just were able to get a new relationship with the Fairfax County Public Schools through their elementary schools, as we already had it with the high schools. And the same programs that we're giving right now in Arlington, we're going to now give them in Fairfax and Falls Church.
Congratulations.
That's great. Could you speak a little bit more about the work your organization does and how it impacts the lives of our DACA students?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is what we are all about. I mean, I can tell you that with our staff, which we have some of here present today, they go to the high schools in Fairfax County Public Schools and Arlington County Public Schools and recruit the kids from 9 to 12 grades. And there, through our Emerging Leaders program, we go through a whole process where we work with them on building them as a community, the leadership skills. We help them with the resumes, with ways to get to know better how that it, you know, in this country, you can attain post-secondary education, and that there are ways to do it. And we have an example of somebody who just is going to graduate from Woodland in Arlington County, and she was a DACA student. And when she started the Emerging Leaders program, she didn't even know that she was going through a depression. And that's something that, you know, she realized through it, and working with her and her parents. Today I can give you the good news that she has been accepted with a full-ride scholarship at San Diego University, which makes us very excited. And that is just one example of the many that go through our programs. And we have recipients that are right now attending Georgetown, Virginia Tech, MIT, you name it. So we are very proud of the way that DACA is really changing people's lives and the lives of their families.
Thank you, and we're very proud of the work that you guys are doing. I would love to kind of transition and talk with the Latino Community Credit Union about the loan services that they offer our DACA students. Could you talk to us about some of the underwriting criteria that is required?
Hi, this is Vicky Garcia. We designed the product right a year ago, actually, when it was announced by the government that DACA was going to go forward. So at that moment when we met, we decided that a person or that is eligible for DACA would do anything to get their status and to develop in the country. So basically what you need to do to apply for a loan with us is just be alive. You have to have a pulse, basically. So come to the credit union, become a member of the credit union, and you will get the loan. We will write the check directly to Homeland Security, and you're done. Our delinquency is now very low. It's around 2.5%. And we have done it since the program was launched in August in 2012. So it has been a very, very successful program.
Could you tell us a little bit more about like how many folks have been able to secure loans through your program, how successful it's been?
We have approved almost 2,000 loans since the beginning of the program. And there are also people that are coming back for their second loan for the renewal process. So we have been pretty, I think Latino Credit Union is the largest lender in the U.S. for DACA people.
Great. So besides DACA loans, are there other services that are offered to the DACA students?
We are working very closely with community colleges here in Durham and in other cities where the Latino Credit Union has branches to help them get financial education so that once they get their loan with us, they don't only get the DACA loan, but also create credit history so when then they go and apply for college, they have a credit history and they can get further loans to further their college dreams, basically.
Thank you. Well, there's some good stuff happening in North Carolina. The Hispanic League has also been very active in supporting our DACA community. I would love to hear about how the Hispanic League is impacting the lives of students to help them prepare for college.
Yes. Well, we actually start with working with our middle school students. And we've been involved with the ESL and limited English proficient students for 19 years now. There are actually 92 languages spoken in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system.
Wow.
So that's quite a few different languages that we need to tackle and also reach out to so many different kinds of students. Our middle school 2 years program is currently in 8 middle schools, and we're touching the lives of about 900 students. We use college students, and many of them are our scholarship recipients, to come in and talk with the middle school students and tell their personal stories about some of the hurdles they've had to overcome, and encourage the students about how important it is for them to learn English, to keep talking and speaking in their native language, but also put a lot of emphasis on the importance of finishing school. When they attend high school, we partner with the YMCA Latin Achievers Program, and they bring in small business leaders and other individuals from the community to tell their stories and share, again, how important it is to finish high school, but to continue on and possibly go to college. And of course, that's when the Hispanic League circles back around. We're going to show you a photo of some of the faces of some of our students who have received scholarships. Our scholarships are based on 75% on need, 20% on academics, and 5% on resume. The resume is their volunteer work, their letters of recommendation, of course, their essay. But they have to have a GPA of 2.7 or greater and give at least 20 hours back to the Hispanic community. Documentation, of course, is not needed, but they do have to go to an accredited college. So if they take these classes, they can transfer to another university or college. We do have a complete list of alternative scholarship opportunities on our website. So in case someone comes to us and they're not available and do not fit within our criteria, they have some other options. And the other thing that's very important is that the sponsors who work directly with our students become mentors for them and stay connected with them, hopefully for all 4 years of their schools.
So in what ways does the Hispanic League promote multicultural understanding?
So part of what we were founded on was making sure that we did have a clear understanding, kind of use a flashlight to show our broader community who the Hispanic Latino community is, that everybody just didn't move here from Mexico, that we really are very diverse. And so we started doing that through our annual fiesta, and it's a wonderful multicultural event which covers many different languages, of course, but also shares about 20,000, 25,000 people who come for this one-day event. Wow. And in addition to doing that, having that fabulous one-day event with food, music, arts, crafts, culture, we also do a lot of other events, like our Latino American Women's Conference, or Bookmarks Festival, where we bring Hispanic authors to come and share information and read books, not only within our schools, but also with the broader community. And River Run Film Festival brings and highlights Hispanic directors and does different types of documentaries about Hispanic countries. And then we have a lot of other events, our Running of the Bulls, the 5K, or International Wine Tasting, which of course is always well attended. This helps us to, again, broaden the community, help them learn more about what the Hispanic community is. And all of these events and things that we do raise funds so we can do those scholarships and give them back to our students.
Well, we would love to attend some of the wonderful events that you mentioned. Thank you for the great work that you're leading. So from North Carolina, let's move on to Ohio with Springfield City School District, the Hispanic Outreach Program. Can you talk to us about how you engage the community and how you engage stakeholders to help them understand the needs of the Hispanic population in Ohio?
Yes, sure. Thank you for having us. What we do, we continue offering workshops to the private and public sector about the Hispanic characteristics of our families, demographic, cultural diversity, and their needs. Also about immigration status. Our goal is that every organization learns about the needs of the Hispanic community in order to establish effective strategies to better serve them. We also provide tools for research and explain in details any relevant information that the organization might need. And we're also part of any group, organization, coalition. We're just basically in every group in the city, so we represent the Hispanic community.
So tell us a little bit about what makes your program unique and successful.
One of the things that's quite unique is that our district works with the University of Chicago Consortium on School Research to look at non-cognitive skills in our students. So we're looking at the skills that aren't assessed in an academic type test. So we have a large grant that has helped fund this, and so we know from this research that the basis of what really helps our students succeed, particularly our students who are minorities, and since we are an urban community, is relationship building. And so we work with the staff very closely to help them understand how to build relationships with the kids and focus on the importance of these relationships with students and their families so that they understand things not only from an academic perspective, but from a cultural perspective as well. And then we take this out to the families, and we create relationships with families and students and pull the community in, regardless of language and cultural barriers. We really have created sort of a hub here that we can do a lot of outreach in the community and building community relationships, including referrals to attorneys who will help expedite their cases regarding legal status. We help make doctor's appointments, and our health clinic is right across the street. And we do a lot of communicating with teaching staff so that they understand the students' needs, both socially and emotionally, and what things physically are affecting their lives. So we really look at it very holistically, and we know that education is going to lead them in a direction of having the skills that they need outside when they graduate from high school. So we do a lot of things in order to make sure that their needs are met, the whole child.
Yes, definitely. The whole child is very important. That's something that the secretary here continues to champion, just the importance of making sure we have a cradle-to-career agenda. So we've spent some time talking about the scholarship assistance that's offered, some of the mentoring programs, and how parents are involved. And I'd like to transition to the University of California, Davis, to talk about the work that you guys are doing in terms of providing legal services. Could you kind of give us a little bit more insight into the university's services to provide immigration services to undocumented students and families?
Sure. And I apologize, I didn't introduce earlier. We have two of our lawyers here in the room with us and our paralegal. And I wanted to start with that because I think that what's really unique about our program is that it is staffed by lawyers, and it's run like a law firm. So we travel. There are 10 campuses in the University of California, and right now there are about 7,000 undocumented students or students with undocumented parents within the University of California system. If you look at the state university system or the community college, the number is even greater. But it's a large number, and it's a large number because unlike many of you, we are very fortunate in California to have in-state tuition for undocumented students, and that opened the doors. And then more recently, 2 years ago, our in-state grants for college education were made available to undocumented students. So with that economic access, our numbers from this year, coming year, from last year will have doubled in terms of the number of undocumented students in the UC system. So it became pretty clear that these students had very specific needs that had to do with their immigration status or with their parents' immigration status. Something as simple as they needed to get their DACA or their DACA renewed. But also sometimes, you know, they needed advice and consultations about whether there was anything to do for their siblings, for their parents. So we do a full range of immigration services. A lot of universities offer some help with DACA, but we do everything from family petitions to naturalizations to, like I said earlier, deportation defense, and it's free. So that's one of the really unique things is that no matter how complex the case is and how much time the attorneys spend on it, it's free of charge to the families as well as to the students. This is going to only increase, I think, in California and in the rest of the country because, for example, right now, 65% of all the undocumented high school graduates are in California. But that means there's a fair number of them in other parts of the country. So we see that it's for the next coming 5 years, the population of undocumented students in four-year colleges in California will continue to go up. And the need for immigration services, just like you have other services on campus, like mental health services or just straight health services, we're going to, I think, continue to be highly sought after as a college service.
So that, you definitely hit on some key services that are being offered in the community. What advice would you give other kind of universities across the country that have a large population of DACA students? How could they kind of model or replicate what you guys have created there in California? And I think for those of you watching, this is why it's so important for us to highlight these bright spots, because we want to use it as a lever to share promising practices. So could you speak a bit about what advice you give other universities or colleges that are interested in kind of replicating what you've done?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I really hope that we can encourage other universities across the country to do this. I think one thing to highlight for others who might look at this and want to replicate it is that it's actually not, I think initially it looks complicated. How do you provide legal services, across an entire state? But actually, when you have campuses located in different parts of the state, each campus is like a little community. So one of the things that helps us do this and do it very efficiently is that every campus has a population of undocumented students, usually with a program. Like we have undocumented student centers at all our campuses. So we can very easily reach the students at each campus and say, we're going to be on your campus 5 days this quarter or semester. And we get appointments and we go and we serve them and then we come back to our office. But I think it's important for people to know that you don't have to have lawyers at all 10 campuses with offices, with phones, with computers. You can have a pretty centralized staff in one place that goes out to the campuses and is able to serve them. And I hate to say this, but we're actually really not that expensive compared. I've run other legal services programs before, and our price tag is not that high, and our services are pretty extensive. So I think my advice to other universities would be to not be afraid that this is going to be, one, very expensive, and two, that it's kind of too difficult to manage because they have to reach a lot of people. I think we have some lessons about how to do the outreach and about how to reduce the cost and still provide services that could make this very doable in places like Florida, New York, Texas, Virginia, Illinois, where there are these large growing numbers of four-year students that are undocumented.
Thank you. So I guess I'd want to throw out this question in the interest of time to all of our Bright Spot participants, but just given that we're having this important conversation on a time when we're celebrating the anniversary of DACA, what one message would you want to make sure is conveyed to, the President of the United States, our leaders in the Department of Education, our members of Congress, but what is that one kind of key message you'd want to convey to the leaders that are kind of have been instrumental in helping us with DACA, but most importantly, as this debate continues, what do you want them to know about the students that you serve? And I guess since we're with UC Davis, that we'll throw that out to you, and then we'll go on to the rest of our bright spots.
I think the most important message is that we need to continue DACA and we need to expand it to the parents. When we see the difference that DACA, with its work authorization and just the stability that it provides the students, it's life-changing. And so I think the message would be to continue this program, to make it more than a 2-year program, to lower the cost of the applications, and to include the parents in the program.
Thank you. Well, we have Maria here, so she's definitely going to take away that information and share it with her colleagues at USCIS. I want to kind of make sure we get an opportunity to hear from the rest of our bright spots. So Tamara Fund.
Hi, my name is Tanya Bale, and also I'm a recipient of DACA, and I have the opportunity to, to meet Diane and receive help from them, and I can just say that having DACA, it's a blessing because it was a life-changing. I was able to go to college, I graduated, and I currently have a full-time job. Now I can say my family, it's stable because I have been able to help them for the last 2 years. And I don't know, it's a life-changing thing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. We look forward to your continued success. Dream Project?
Okay, thank you. That's a very important question, and first of all, we will convey to this administration and everyone who supported DACA our appreciation, how much the lives of many students have been changed thanks to DACA. What we will ask President Obama and other legislators in Congress is that we would like to be able for these students to access more financial resources, at some point being able to access federal loans because it's very difficult to access private scholarships, and that would be one suggestion. My colleague has another one.
Well, in working with the students, one of the things we found out is that the cost of college education is astronomical. So if we can stop raising the cost of college education, that would be a very good idea, not only for the DACA students, but also I think for every student who wants to access college. And the thing about the accessing funds, if the students do not have access to FAFSA funds or federal funds, create opportunities on the campuses for the students to have a way to generate some income so they can afford their education while they're working in the college. It is kind of difficult to place them in the colleges. So those are 3 things that I would like to see for the students, and also raise the awareness among colleges and universities. Because even though we have a lot of partnerships with colleges and universities, they don't know what DACA is.
That's true.
When you talk about undocumented student, they move the student around from, oh, it's undocumented, it should be international, maybe it's homeless, maybe he has a special visa. So there's really no awareness among colleges and universities about what an undocumented student looks like, or a DACA student is. So those are a few things that I would like to recommend to the administration.
I think that's why these forums are so important. So it's an opportunity for us to highlight those great organizations that are doing good work in this space, and just know that we continue to work with a president and a secretary of education that are trying to make sure that college is accessible and affordable, and most importantly that we kind of follow that North Star goal, that it's not just getting our students to, but through college. So completion is a big factor. We also have several resources, and I'll let Maria kind of share a bit about some of the resources we offer. But as we are kind of closing out this discussion, I want to make sure I do give the Latino organization in North Carolina an opportunity to chime in.
So I would like to echo what the University of California, Debbie said. We definitely need to get the parents approved and get them temporary status. Obviously, we all wish for immigration reform, and I guess that's the solution to all the problems that have been mentioned. But these steps towards something better, I think, are helping. Also, giving access to scholarships, as they already mentioned, to the DACA recipients will be also great.
Thank you. Hispanic League?
My name is Angel Cedillo. I'm a third-year scholarship recipient. And one of the things I guess we all agree on is getting in-state tuition for all students, and also promoting DAPA for parents.
Great. Thank you. And Hispanic Outreach Program?
I think we want to share that the grades and attendance are the biggest predictors of school success. And we found out that DACA decreased absences and increased graduation rates. So it's been life-changing for our students when they were presented with the opportunity of become someone. In the past, when they were reaching the 8th grade and they discovered that they were undocumented, that they didn't have a future, it was basically they drop out of school. So we have been able to retain them. So in the future, I think I share with all the rest of the group is we need to expand to the students and their parents the time, and also include the parents because it is needed.
Thank you. So Maria, we've covered a lot of ground today. What do you think is the most important thing for our DACA students and bright spots to kind of keep in mind?
You know, I think that a couple of the organizations mentioned a couple things. One thing was to create awareness for our colleges and universities about DACA. And one of the things that the Department of Education has done in October of 2015, we came out with a DACA resource guide for undocumented youth, or excuse me, a resource guide for undocumented youth, which addresses exactly that, to help our educators better inform DACA students and undocumented youth in general. And we are also working on a guide that's specific to early learners and their parents, so that we can inform those decisions early on. Another thing I wanted to highlight is obviously resources, right? And getting information from reputable sources. One thing that we struggle with, especially at USCIS, is people taking advantage of others as a result of not having the correct information. So it's really, really important to avoid immigration scams by seeking information from accredited organizations. These bright spots are perfect examples. Department of Education, of course, USCIS, and for financial aid, going for parents and students, certainly checking out studentaid.gov, where you can find additional information. Again, that's so critically important.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you to all of our outstanding Bright Spot organizations. What an honor to spend some time with you on today's anniversary of DACA. I want to thank everyone that's been watching via live stream, and just a reminder to all of you, if you know of an organization that is doing good work to support the educational attainment of our Hispanic students from cradle to career, we would love to hear about them. It's really important that we continue to shine a national spotlight on what's happening across the country. You all are our true champions. When we talk about progress that we're seeing in terms of high school completion, in terms of entrance into college, it really is because of the work that is happening at our state and local level. And so it really takes all of us to continue to make sure that we support and increase opportunities for Hispanic students. So please visit our webpage where you can find information on a lot of the resources Maria mentioned, and you can find information on all of our Bright Spots that have participated. You can go to ed.gov, Hispanic Initiative, for further information on the work of our office, and to know about some of the upcoming initiatives and activities that we have underway. We look forward to hanging out with you all soon, and Maria will give you some information on where to get access to some of the resources that USCIS offers.
And for for DACA resources, please go to uscis.gov/DACA, and if you need it in Spanish, /Acción Deferida.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you everyone for participating in today's Google Hangout.